You just typed F1 2026 explained so far into a search bar. Congratulations! You're exactly the kind of person this video was made for. Not because you're new, not because you're lost, but because you had the audacity to need a guide for a sport where 21 adults and a very sassy teenager drive in circles really fast. Here's the thing though, 2026 isn't just another season, it's a full reset. New cars, new rules, new teams, new drama. Think of it less like a new season of your favorite show and more like a season 1 of a reboot where half the cast got replaced and the writers are clearly on something. So buckle up, we're going team by team, race by race, and we will not be stopping for bathroom breaks. Before we start with the teams, you need to know what changed, because everything changed. Cars got smaller, lighter, narrower. Basically, Formula 1 went on a cleanse and came back looking different. The wings work differently. The engines now run in a 50-50 split between combustion and electric power, and the whole grid had to start from scratch figuring out what fast even means again. In theory, this levels the playing field. In practice, one team figured it out immediately and the rest of them are still staring at their laptops looking personally offended. That team? Hold on, we'll get there. That team? Mercedes, George Russell, Australia, pole position, won the race. 1-2 finish with his teammate. Done and dusted. First race of the new era and Mercedes already looked like they had been practicing for an entirely different season while everyone else was still trying to figure out how to turn left. Then comes China. Kimi wins from pole, George second. Another 1-2 back-to-back. 2 races, 0 drama, 0 stress. Just 2 smug cars vanishing into the horizon like they were on a casual Sunday cruise while the other 10 teams stood in the garage looking personally betrayed and slightly nauseous. Now, let me talk about Kimi Antonelli. This kid is a genuine nightmare for the rest of the grid. 19 years old, replaced Lewis Hamilton. Yes, you heard that right. Lewis Hamilton, 7 world championships, the most famous driver alive, and by race 2 in Shanghai, he became the second youngest race winner in Formula 1 history. Only Verstappen was younger. 3 laps from the end, he locked up, went completely off track, came back on the road like nothing happened, and still won by 5 seconds. That's not luck. That is a threat. His rookie season last year was properly messy. Fast one weekend, spinning out like a drunk uncle the next. You could literally watch him figuring it out in real time on TV. But the crashes turned into consistency, and now he's here in year 2, racing his own teammate for a world championship like it's no big deal. Mercedes spent 2 years quietly rebuilding in the background. Then they rocked up in 2026 and absolutely cooked everyone. The rest of the paddock is currently processing that in private therapy sessions, and we respect their healing journey. So who could possibly challenge 2 silver cars that are clearly from the future? Well, one man crashed in qualifying, started last, and still finished 6th. So maybe him? As we all know, Red Bull runs on one fuel, Max Verstappen. Every car update, every strategy call, every single decision made inside that factory exists to answer one question. Does this make Max faster? When the answer is yes, nobody on the grid can touch him. When the answer is no, you get Australia. He crashed in qualifying, started dead last, 20 out of 22, then spent the whole race cutting through the field like everyone else was a traffic cone on easy mode, set the fastest lap of the entire race, finished 6th, and got voted driver of the day by the fans. The man turned a complete disaster into a personal highlight reel. He is just built different, no cap, and there's genuinely nothing anyone can do about it. China was harder, climbed back through traffic again, briefly got stuck behind a rookie, uncomfortable for everyone involved. Then the car yeeted itself into retirement with 11 laps left, crawled around 1 lap, pitted, retired, and when a journalist asked Max what he was going to do now, he deadpanned. It's only 500 meters, I'm going home. Before actually walking out of the paddock back to his 14 million pound apartment with the trophy cabinet and the Monaco harbor view. Just a completely normal Sunday. Apparently later spotted on a yacht with his dad. 3 rough weekends in a row. Still the most dangerous driver alive when the machinery actually behaves. New boss Lauren Mekies is running things now after Christian Horner, who was basically Red Bull's furniture for 20 years. New face, same pressure. Keep winning or the internet starts writing angry threats by Monday morning. They are also building engines with Ford under the new rules. Could be genius, could be the opening scene of a very expensive cautionary tale. Nobody knows yet. Ask again in July. Then there's the second seat. The cursed cockpit cockpit, the haunted house with a helmet. Isaac Hadjar qualified third on the entire grid in his very first Formula One race, third out of 22, then retired on lap 10 with a mechanical failure, like acing every round of a job interview and then the building catching fire before the offer letter arrives. He scored 20 points quietly in China. The talent is real and visible. The problem is he gets measured against Max Verstappen every single Sunday, which is less of a teammate situation and more of a psychological stress test with a points finish as the prize if you survive. Want to know the best part? Red Bull actually aren't gone. They're just recalibrating. And the moment Max has a car underneath him that actually does what he asks, he becomes everyone's problem again very quickly. Ferrari knows this all too well, of course, because they have their own very specific set of problems they've been carrying around for years and still refuse to put down. Supporting Ferrari is not a hobby, it's a condition. There's no cure. Doctors have tried. No team in this sport does hope better, and no team on Earth does almost better either. It's a skill, a very painful, very expensive, very Ferrari skill. In Australia, Leclerc launches off the line at the start, passes Russell into turn 1, leads the race, looks genuinely brilliant, then the safety car comes out and Ferrari's strategy hands the lead straight back to Mercedes. Leclerc finishes third, Hamilton fourth. 2 cars in the top 4, 0 wins. Very on brand. China was genuinely better. Hamilton was aggressive from the start, battled Leclerc wheel to wheel, grabbed third, his first Ferrari podium after 26 attempts. Yes, 26. When it finally came, he looked like a man who needed to go and sit somewhere very quiet for a moment and just breathe. In Monaco, Hamilton qualified and raced to second place, right behind Antonelli all the way. Ferrari had genuine pace all weekend. Real pace. The kind that makes you think that something is finally clicking. But Leclerc, my poor Charles, born in Monaco, living in Monaco, races in Monaco every year, breaks playing up all race, crashes out of his home race, retires from his home race again. Ouch. I felt his heart breaking. The Monaco course does not care about your home address, does not care about your loyalty, does not care that the entire principality was watching. Leclerc crashed out of his home race again, and somewhere in the universe, something laughed very quietly to itself. Fred Vasseur is genuinely building something here. Hamilton looks more settled every weekend. The pace gap to Mercedes is closing. But in F1, the gap between looking ready and actually winning is where all the interesting suffering lives, and Ferrari are very familiar with that postcode. Still, there is a team that would absolutely swap problems with Ferrari right now. A team that has been fast all year and has almost nothing to show for it because reliability keeps stealing the result at the worst possible moment. McLaren brought one of the fastest cars on the grid to 2026. They just forgot to also bring the part that makes the car actually finish races. Brilliant work there. Australia, Oscar Piastri, home race, his home country, his crowd, the whole nation is watching, and he crashes on the sighting lap. Not even the race, the warm-up lap before the race. Doesn't start, goes home. In Australia, the crowd went quiet in that very specific way that you can actually feel through a screen, and it's deeply uncomfortable. What a way to say g'day. Lando Norris, the reigning world champion, at least actually raced, finished 5th, 50 seconds behind the winner. 50 whole seconds. Lovely. China, both of them. Both Norris and Piastri had separate electrical failures on their cars before the race even began. Neither of them started. 0 laps between the two of them across the whole weekend. The reigning world champion has 0 points through 2 rounds, and his teammate literally has not completed a single race lap all season. That is historically, monumentally bad, and nobody could quite believe what they were watching. Absolute cinema. Monaco finally gave McLaren something. Piastri finished 4th, first proper points of his year. Showed the pace is absolutely real when the car holds itself together long enough to see the checkered flag. Norris retired again. Power issues. Another painful one. But you could see what McLaren is capable of when the machinery behaves, which is basically never. Here's the thing though. The speed is genuinely there. Everyone in the paddock knows it. Norris and Piastri in clean air in a working McLaren is frightening to watch. Once they sort out the reliability, and they will sort it out because this is McLaren and they have the resources, they are going to be a real problem for Mercedes in the second half of the season. Right now, they're fighting their own cars more than anyone else, and their own cars have been winning that fight far too often. And while McLaren are busy battling their machinery, there's a team down the pit lane that has been quietly, almost suspiciously, doing the exact opposite. Fixing things, improving week by week, and slowly turning into something that nobody predicted. Williams is the comeback nobody made a documentary about yet, but they absolutely should. Not long ago, this team was straight up backmarker therapy. Free overtaking practice for anyone with a car that had brakes and at least one functioning mirror. A squad that once ran the whole circus reduced to, we have history and vibes, while everyone else lapped them for fun. Then James Vowles showed up, like the quiet kid in class who actually read the textbook. Bro built an actual plan. No memes, no copium, just slow, quiet, terrifying competence, and suddenly the car was pointing the right way. The vibes, immaculate. The results, baby steps, but steps nonetheless. Enter Carlos Sainz, the smooth operator himself. Survived Ferrari divorce drama, survived McLaren glow-up madness, and still landed on his feet. Drama tries to find him and just gives up. Nah, this guy's too chill. The man's here to stop Williams from being the punchline and turn them into, I dare say, a team. Then there's Alex Albon, aka Mr. Lily Muni He, the ultimate, they wrote me off, but I manifested a seat. Red Bull dropped him. Everyone closed the book, lit a candle, and said, rest in peace, King. Bro said, bet, and came back quieter than a library. Now he's one of the most reliable midfield drivers on the grid. Monaco vibes. Sainz gets caught in the annual incident sale and retires early. Albon finishes P8 like it's nothing. Solo points. In Monaco, where other drivers see walls, Albon sees free real estate, if I don't just bin it. Man is a point-scoring wizard in a car that used to qualify in the pit lane. Now, Williams ain't winning a championship this year, let's not get delusional, but fans aren't watching out of pure nostalgia anymore. They're locked in because something real is cooking. It feels like the first episode in a comeback arc. The trailer just dropped, and we are seated. Meanwhile, a couple of garages down, and you've got that team that's inconsistent and entertaining in the did they mean to do that way? Somehow scoring points in the midfield like it's performance art. Haas is Formula One's most unpredictable house guest. Some weekends they show up sharp, quick, and in the fight. Other weekends you check the timing screens and genuinely question what sport they think they're participating in. Consistency is optional at Haas. The drama, however, comes standard. Their whole philosophy is wonderfully practical. Why build everything yourself when Ferrari already made the parts? Haas has been shopping at Ferrari's clearance section for years. Saves money, works well. Also means when Ferrari's struggling, Haas gets the economy version of these same problems at a slight discount. New technical support from Toyota this year means actual extra resources, which is a big deal for a team that usually operates on a budget smaller than some drivers' weekend watch selections. In Australia, Oliver Behrman finished 7th, a 21-year-old in a Haas, 7th in the season opener, best of the midfield, not on anyone's prediction sheet. Moving on to Monaco, Oliver retired. Esteban Ocon finished 9th, still points, still in the fight. Ocon races every position like it's a personal matter. Yeah, just putting this here anyway, a battle for P11 gets the full intensity. Behrman is the one everyone expected a bigger team to come calling for eventually. For now, Haas is his stage and he's absolutely using it. The drama is guaranteed. The entertainment never expires. And somewhere inside all the unpredictability, there are genuine points being scored, which is more than certain better funded teams can say right now. One of those better funded teams is building very seriously and very patiently just down the pit lane. A manufacturer that wins everything they enter, now attempting the hardest one. Audi entering Formula One is a statement. They win at Le Mans, they win in rally, touring cars. They do not show up for things they do not intend to eventually win. Rather than start from zero, they took over Sauber, got the factory, the staff, and the recent back-of-the-grid reputation that came with it. The 4 rings are on the car now. The results are being worked on. In Australia, Gabriel Bortoleto scored points in Audi's debut race. 9th place. Kind of impressive. A manufacturer's first ever F1 points in their very first race, and they arrived in a modest P9 that nobody really discussed enough. Nico Hülkenberg brings experience and the freedom of a man who broke his own curse. The no podium streak, the longest in F1 history, ended last year. He showed up to 2026 as a free man, and he's building something with a team that has money, patience, and a timeline that is not in a hurry. Monaco was tough. Bortoleto had issues before the race and didn't even start. Hülkenberg finished 13th. Not the day they wanted, but Audi is playing the long game, and they know exactly which game they're playing. The ceiling here is genuinely high. The floor is still being constructed, and that's fine because the teams that try to skip the construction phase and buy their way to the front have mostly learned that Formula One is very good at taking money and giving back humility. Speaking of ambition versus results, Aston Martin have been making that exact face all season. The face of a team that spent a lot, hired the best, and is still waiting for the Sunday that matches the Monday morning press release. Right, so Aston Martin, big ambitions, big names, big budget, big weight. Where are the results? Where did the money go? They hired Adrian Newey, the man who designed more championship-winning cars than most teams have had good seasons. The actual engineering legend of the sport. When Aston Martin one got Newey, the rest of the paddock looked up from their lunches and went, "Oh, they're serious. This is real." Fernando Alonso is in the car. Two-time world champion, still driving like a man who refuses to get out of his rookie phase at an age where most of his peers are doing punditry, writing books, and launching lifestyle brands. Honda engines, proper infrastructure, everything should be clicking. Then, boom. In Australia, Alonso retires mid-race, and then, and this is real, this actually happened, the timing screens showed him back on track. Then he retires again. Fernando Alonso retired twice from the same race. He unretired himself, then re-retired. An accidental trilogy from a two-time world champion that absolutely nobody ordered. No points, nothing. In Monaco, Alonso actually finished 10th. 6 pit stops and everything. Fighting hard all race. Small steps, real steps. Stroll crashed late and retired. Nothing out of the usual. Look, Newey is still settling in. The Honda partnership is still finding its feet. Alonso has genuinely looked quick in qualifyings on weekends where the car cooperated. The potential here is not fake. The gap between the potential and what's happening on actual Sunday afternoons is just taking longer than the press release suggested. Aston Martin fans have developed a very specific skill this season. It's called staying positive while saying absolutely nothing out loud. Smart, honestly, very smart. Now, Racing Bulls, a team where the whole point is finding the next superstar, and this year, in one of the quiet plot twists of 2026, they might actually be doing it. So, Racing Bulls exist for one reason, and everyone knows it. To figure out whether you're the next Max Verstappen, or just someone Helmut Marko evaluated quietly for 6 months before moving on without making eye contact. Every single lap is an audition. Every weekend is a test with no marking scheme that anyone has published. The only way through is to be so obviously, undeniably fast that they physically cannot ignore you anymore. Liam Lawson is back. He got promoted to the senior Red Bull team last year. It was brief, it was chaotic, and it ended very quickly. Getting pushed back down after a promotion is not great for the confidence. But Lawson has something genuinely rare. Actual experience at the sharp end of the sport. Monaco finished 5th. 5th in a Racing Bull at Monaco. That is not a fluke. And the whole paddock noticed. Rookie Arvid Lindblad scored points in his very first Formula 1 race in Australia. He had Verstappen, 4-time world champion Verstappen, stuck behind him in China and wasn't moving over. Finished 6th in Monaco alongside Lawson. A Racing Bulls double, top 6 finish at one of the hardest tracks on the calendar in his first season. That is remarkable, and it's not getting enough attention. The waiting room is producing real results this year. Nobody predicted that sentence before the season started. And while Racing Bulls are quietly over-delivering, Alpine are doing something slightly different. Very slowly, very carefully, exhaling after a few years of holding their breath and hoping nobody noticed. Alpine. Oh, Alpine. You know that band from 15 years ago that you absolutely loved? The one that had a rough patch with messy lineup changes and a few albums that just didn't hit? And now they're mounting a comeback and you genuinely want it to work, but you're not shouting it too loudly in case it all goes sideways again. That's Alpine. That's the exact energy. They were proper title contenders once under the Renault name. Really proper. Then it kind of didn't happen, with management changes on top of management changes. Results that were fine but not great, and seasons that were okay but instantly forgettable. Now, Flavio Briatore is back running the whole show. Whether that fixes everything or just adds more juicy plot twists to an already chaotic saga is something we're finding out week by week. Pierre Gasly is the dependable one who squeezes every drop out of whatever car he's given, keeps his head down, and rarely causes the wrong kind of drama. In Monaco, he crossed the line 3rd on the road before penalties dropped into 7th. But on a day where Ferrari and Red Bull were both falling apart spectacularly, there was Gasly, quietly being quick and making it work. Real pace right there. Franco Colapinto brings completely different energy next to him. Young, daring, a little unpredictable, and one of the most genuinely fun drivers to watch throwing it around on the track. While their Mercedes engines this year finally give Alpine some proper hardware to build around. Something is slowly building here. The optimism is cautious, with the seatbelt firmly fastened, but it's there. And that's more than you could say a year ago. Right down to the new kids just arrived, still learning where the bathroom is and somehow handling it better than most people. Cadillac showed up and honestly, respect. Starting a brand new Formula 1 team from scratch sounds fun from the outside, but from the inside it feels like getting that flat pack furniture with instructions in a language you only half understand, while 10 other people who have done this for many years watch from across the room and give bad advice. It's not easy. It's really not easy, and most people don't give give new teams enough credit for just showing up and racing. Sergio Perez brings race-winning experience from his Red Bull days. Exactly the kind of driver you need in a new team. Someone who stays calm and gives engineers good, useful feedback instead of just saying something feels off. In Australia, he finished 16th, but he finished. He completed the race on day one, and that counts. That really counts. Valtteri Bottas has had many reliability problems this season, with a DNF in Australia and another DNF in Monaco because the car keeps finding new ways to stop during the race. In Monaco, Perez finished 15th after penalties. Not exciting, but he was still there, still showing up. Every team that wins now had a first year when finishing a race felt like a real success to celebrate. Cadillac are in that early part of the journey, and they're doing it with more calm than most people expected. So, look, that's 2026. That's the whole thing so far. A 19-year-old who can't drink champagne in Japan, leading the championship with 5 wins. The greatest driver of his generation's replacement is having a season that is making people quietly uncomfortable in a Mercedes boardroom somewhere. Red Bull's 4-time champion going home from Monaco after 1 lap, and that sentence still sounds made up every time I say it out loud. Ferrari breaking hearts in new and creative ways while also occasionally showing real pace that makes you think, this time. Maybe this time. Williams quietly becoming real again. McLaren being fast, then falling apart and slowly fixing it. Haas being Haas. Audi building patiently. Aston Martin spending and waiting. Racing Bulls accidentally producing 2 of the most interesting young drivers on the grid. Alpine slowly exhaling. Cadillac just trying to finish races and mostly doing it. Every single one of those stories connecting to the next. Red Bull struggling helps Mercedes dominate. McLaren's reliability disasters keeps Norris out of the championship fight while Antonelli extends his lead. Ferrari's almost moments keep everyone interested because the second they actually convert one of those podiums into a win, and they will, the whole championship shifts. That's what Formula One is. It's not just cars going around. It's 11 stories running at the same time, crashing into each other, producing things nobody predicted, and moments that are going to live in this sport for years. If this video makes sense for you, brilliant. That's exactly why Polsy F1 exists. If you're more confused now than when you clicked, welcome, genuinely. You're one of us now, and there's no leaving. Subscribe. It only gets worse from here, in the best possible way, of course. The season is not done. The drama is absolutely not done. Antonelli has not stopped winning yet, and everyone else is running out of time to figure out how to make him stop. Take care of yourselves. See you at the next race. And please, don't be a Ferrari. No, wait. Actually, be a Ferrari. We need the content.